Okie doke, here we go. Um, what I have, I'm gonna move this camera around a little bit. So I have, hold on. I am actually using my Sennelier watercolor set, my individual tubes that I have laid out in my handy dandy little plasticky palette. And the other thing you can use, I'm gonna use a little bit too, is I forgot I even had this, but it's really neat. It's really dirty, but it's a where am I? Van Gogh little watercolor set. Even this will work for the underpainting. So I never want people to like rush out and buy all new stuff. But if I already had this, and these are really handy and they're fun for on location, just, sketchbook sketching and adding some color. So that's what I'm going to be using. I just took a pastel pencil and really lightly did a little gestural drawing of the rose. I thought it was timely because it's starting to be rose time in Portland here. So I'm going to, and don't use your real expensive, if you're a watercolor painter, you really do not want to use your very expensive watercolor brushes on top of sanded paper. Not a good plan. So it's really much the same thinking of when I'm doing the underpainting with the pastel and the alcohol wash. I'm gonna get much darker than I know I'm gonna end up. I'm gonna get a good base color, a local color. The only other addition, what I do, I have white, I have Chinese white watercolor from the tube. So do use that. So again, I'm not gonna look for details. I'm probably just gonna even end up painting the rose pretty much a local color. And then I think, now that I'm thinking this through, I'll probably come back in after it dries before I start the pastel on it and do a little more drawing on it, because I'm obviously losing much of the drawing. I'm going to flip and do some of the background. I'm going to get a really nice background. I'm using alizarin and ultramarine blue. And I'm going to get a really deep, I might need a couple layers. And I want to get a good dark background in to show off this pink rose. And there are some little hints of roses back there, but I'm going to ignore them for the underpainting. It's going to be a pretty basic, big shaped underpainting. You'll feel the difference if you've done watercolor paintings versus doing it on sandpaper. It really sucks in the color. It dries, you can see it dries really fast on here. And I just threw in a little hint of black into my mixture because I'm really going the hardest thing for watercolor painters is they would be doing this light to dark. And us pastelists, we work dark to light. So I'm not worried about getting it too dark too fast. I want it dark quickly. So again, the reason for doing it, just for variety of, using different, different underpainting techniques, getting a lot of color on the paper quickly without having to use up the tooth of my paper. still leaving me a whole bunch of space and, you know, for building up the layers. And this could be done with, it could be oils, you know, like an oil wash, it could be acrylics. I've heard of people using ink, you know, inks, colored inks. There's fluid acrylics that I used to use. I just don't have them anymore, but they're those little, come in those little bottles. They almost look like craft paint, but they're called fluid acrylics. Those are really fun, very vibrant colors. But it doesn't, you know, it's just so, any medium can work for an underpainting. I have to deal with where my little clips are because I didn't tape it down. Boom, boom, boom. Oops. All right, I'll let that dry and I'll work on the rose because then I'm going to probably come back and do another, hit it again a little bit next to the rose with the darks. I'm going to grab my little spray bottle because sometimes it's fun to spray it. I'm just kind of hitting it with a little spray of water. It makes it a little looser. You can see that. Oops, I don't think I should have sprayed the background. I wasn't aiming. But, you know, I kind of add some interesting, I don't know if it's showing. Yeah, it is showing. It's going to add a little bit of fun little abstract-y kind of texture. As I keep, you know, I keep saying, I really encourage you guys to kind of play with this whole thing. Experiment. This is kind of a fun time to just see what's happening and try different things. I think this is going to end up being a big blob, but it's okay. I cropped, this was a bigger picture and I cropped it down to like give me some interesting negative shapes. I've talked to you, some of you about that too, about letting it go off the page, not trying to contain your subject right up to the, just before the edge of the composition, but letting it flow off. Just a little spray of water again. It's also a good way to get softer edges in the underpainting, which you don't always get. All right, I'm going to hit that background color one more time. I'm going to get a really dark greenish purple, dark value. I'm using my little set, my little Van Gogh set. So I think I'm getting